music power.
Yo, I'm the hot dog, the run the hottest monologue install, poetic inserts, and yes, y'all. My speech is like open to a Peace em.
Hey everyone, what's up? Remember those early PS2 and Xbox days before rest mode, online gaming, and all that good stuff? You know, where you picked up a game at EB Games, played and often tried to beat it in one sitting? Level-based games that were usually cheesy in some ways, but somehow memorable? For me, no game fits these criteria better than the first Tony Hawk's Underground. Now, I'm no skater, but as a kid, I loved skateboard video games, and there were a lot of good ones back in the day. Besides this game and its damn good sequel, Skate 3 might be one of the best skateboarding games ever made, but you also got the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series, that Project 8 one, and a bunch of others. You might be thinking, wait, Tony Hawk's Underground won over Skate 3? The mechanics were top tier, especially for a now older generation game. But for some reason, when I think of great skateboarding games, I always come back to this one. So, let's find out why. To start, I always loved this creepy Neversoft clip. It kind of freaked me out as a kid, mainly because I was scared of Pennywise the Clown, but what a great clip this is right before we embark on this punk skateboarding journey full of weird, sketchy shit. Bad skateboarding in this kind of game would be like poor web swinging in a Spider-Man game. But the skating here for 2003 is still fun to play in 2022. For actual skaters, the number of tricks you can perform here would make you smile. Hell, you can even create your own trick. Grinding, lip tricks, transfers, all these foundational tricks are here, and you can build your skills as you progress. There's something relaxing about skating and cruising through any given level to the awesome soundtrack. And for non-skaters like myself, you could just learn a lot from all the pros they have here teaching you tricks and discovering new ones just by button smashing sometimes. Most importantly, the skating is fun, and while there's not a whole lot to it, there are ways to challenge yourself if you master the techniques and mechanics. In every level, there are new lines and scores to beat, and Neversoft threw in other things to do like driving, running, climbing. The story itself is probably the best thing about this game. Now, the story here is not Oscar worthy.
Uh-oh! Not this motherfucker!
But it's a genuinely fun story to follow, even as an adult. The story here is fairly simple. You are a kid from Jersey who, along with your boy Eric, want to become a pro skater. It's all the shit that ensues that gives this game such everlasting charm. Eric, he's such a fucking scumbag.
Little stupid bitch!
At first, they're two kids who have each other's back, but as the game progresses, Eric slowly becomes engulfed by the monetary benefits of the sport and the glory of fame.
I need 5 in my hand or I won't skate. I don't care how many kids are waiting.
While you remain a guy who just wants to skate. And this game's scope is pretty crazy. I mean, you go on this nationwide quest. You start out in Jersey, you go to California, you end up in Hawaii, even stranded in Russia. Essentially, Eric tries to take your success as you've always been the better skater, so he fucks you up a lot in this game, and you kind of have these run-ins with him throughout. In the midpoint of the story, these two are in Hawaii, and they're trying to get some footage of them skating to promote their pro team. And you decide to perform a McTwist from a hotel roof over a police helicopter to the roof of another building. This insane footage was captured by Eric, and this tape remains kind of like the crown jewel of all their accomplishments. The game ends with Eric becoming a wealthy pro, but lost the soul of the sport, and you have built a team of skaters who just love the sport and want to do it until they can. You even go head to head with Eric, who flaunts the footage of your greatest feat in his face. Of course you win and you get the tape, and that's it. The game starts in Jersey and it ends in Jersey, and it's just perfect. After all the stardom, the game just ends with you skating wherever you'd like, in all the places you've unlocked. You can even create your own level or skate park to goof around in. Depending on the difficulty you're playing on, you could probably beat this story in a matter of 3 or 4 hours. It's quick. It's a level-based game. Each level is a new area to explore. I wouldn't call it an open world game, but there are things to find in each level and discover. There are secret areas like this level called Hotter Than Hell, where you're in the middle of the desert skating in an arena with a freak show and Kiss performing. I mean, you can even unlock Iron Man to skate as. Yeah, for some reason in 03, they chose Iron Man to include in their skateboarding game, and look how popular that guy turned out to be. For a game that most people pick up to merely skate around and perform cool tricks, it has a decent story that's interesting and wholesome. This game's story did not need to be, but it is, and that's why it's great. There are dramatic and intense moments, there are legitimately funny ones, and everything in between for a well-balanced story. The tone is a little varied, but it never loses focus of its main objective, which is to enjoy the act of skating without all the bullshit that comes with attaining professional status. You even admit that,
"Man, I just want to skate like the old days. It used to relax me, not stress me out."
and this game's sequel capitalizes on that. In that game, you return to Jersey where you're skating for some locals right before you're recruited into this global skating competition. But it's not for cameras or press, it's just a bunch of skaters doing their thing around the world. It's perfect. I really like how once you get kicked off your team because of Eric, of course, you form your own team of like-minded pros and go back around the world like you already did, but this time you're skating in the best spots. The story goes from you achieving what you set out to then realizing that it's not what it should be, and ends with you doing your own thing. I mean, what a great message for the kids who are clearly the target demographic at this time. So obviously, this team of developers love skating and set out to make a skateboarding game, but they went the extra mile in also making the skateboarding game a guise for what you should and should not do when pursuing something. Finally, the soundtrack. This game's soundtrack is chock full of great early 2000s, early, mid, and late 90s rock and roll, punk rock, and hip hop tracks. The soundtrack plays for the duration of the game, except for the cutscenes. No matter what's happening in the story, the soundtrack will be playing. You could be skating for footage in dope spots or trying to escape Russia while evading armed soldiers. And this makes everything you do feel slick. The constant soundtrack makes the game way more mellow, but the songs also supply lots of energy when they need to. That's the power of music though. Sometimes it's just a feeling. For this game, it's fitting that you're listening to songs that this guy who you're playing as would probably be listening to around this time. No song feels out of place, and there are a lot of them. So, fun gameplay, skating mechanics that hold up damn near 20 years later, an interesting story that succeeds in relaying a solid and important life message, and a killer soundtrack that allows you to feel like you are a kid trying to get the most out of what he loves. All make this game the one I think of when I think of great skateboarding games. It's one that I return to every so often just for shits. I think you should revisit it if you haven't in a while. Obviously, the graphics are not going to hold up, and some of the mechanics are a bit unrealistic, but we must consider the time when this game came out and where video games were in 03. It's not like we're getting GTA or Red Dead Redemption level of amazing visuals or anything. If you haven't played this game ever, play it. Trust me, you'll have fun. That's a bit of nostalgia for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'd be more than appreciative if you did. Have a great day. I'll see y'all next week. Take care, everybody. Stay safe.